Where do white people come from with a picture of a mythical animal's mouth on the thumbnail?
So the point of this section is that the entire face of the earth was covered with people with dark complexion. White people were not on the face of the earth. They just arrived recently. Even so-called white people have admitted they are not human.
You stupid fucking cunt.
Now, Caucasians have a sulfur-based anatomy.
White men and black men, in common with every other animal and plant, even bacteria, are all carbon-based life forms. Carbon-based because carbon has 4 free electron spaces on its outer ring. It's the only element in this physical universe that can form the complex bonding and chemistry necessary to produce DNA, which is self-replicating. We're not sulphur-based life forms.
Look at this article. It says, melanated skin is made of selenium-enriched melanin.
The article you're looking at is talking about trace elements found in parts of a skin cell of a human being. It doesn't mean one is a selenium-based life form and the other is a sulphur-based life form.
Keep in mind that selenium is a superconductor, while sulfur is a very poor conductor.
What are you trying to say? Yes, selenium and sulfur in their raw forms, one is a superconductor and the other isn't. But you're basically saying black people can conduct electricity with no resistance, which is patently untrue.
Massive bolts of thunder, and the players have gone down on the pitch. Unbelievable scenes.
Now, being that pale skin have a sulfur-based anatomy,
No, they really fucking don't.
do the races smell differently? The answer is yes.
Yes, it is. Probably due to lifestyle and dietary differences.
In this article, it says on Wednesday, September the 20th, 2006, in his poignant address to the United Nations, Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez likened former President George Bush to the devil. The devil came here yesterday, referring to Bush, who addressed the world body during his Tuesday address. Chavez said, and it smells of sulfur still today.
No, that's not to do with race and melanin. That Bush is in league with Lucifer.
Now let's talk about the Neanderthal DNA. In this section, I'm going to talk about the fact that only Europeans and Asians have Neanderthal DNA, while melanated people do not. This article is titled, DNA Proof of Racial Differences. More facts come to light. It says here, the fact that modern Europeans are part Neanderthal explains racial differences. Black Africans have no DNA from Neanderthals. It appears that Australian Aborigines do not have any Neanderthal DNA either, so they are also archaic Homo sapiens from Africa.
This is a very interesting bit, because this is true, this is a good likelihood as well. Neanderthals had a much better resistance to cold than the hominid species did, so you're more likely to find them in the climates, which would be, as opposed to Australia and Africa, it would be Europe, Northern Europe, places like this.
A cold spell in Europe had pushed Neanderthals further south. The two species were destined to meet.
To some extent, I'm guessing it would benefit the local culture, although it's a bit freaky, interspecies mixing in that way. The hominid species have outcompeted the Neanderthals in the same ecological niche due to their social organisation, ergo the Neanderthals are all dead now. In a way, there is some anecdotal evidence, like the size and the ferocity of the German barbarians compared to the Roman soldiers. It's interesting. But what's your argument about pure human is a strange sort of point, because there's no real pure species. Every animal and plant on the planet is a transitional species, is on its way to becoming something else. As the environment changes, so will the animals and plants inside it. And people tend to think this is fixed, these are white men, these are black men, this is an end product, this is a pure thing. No, it's not. It never has been, and it's never supposed to be. For scientific purposes, we apply labels to things, and it helps us to identify it. We can say what a tiger is, we can say what a monkey is, and it's based on the properties that we know and certain classifications within the structure and its life cycle, which is how we would say that human beings, whether black or white, are the same animal. Now, if you want to go deeper than the scientific classification and go, because they've got different trace elements of amounts of sulfur and selenium in their melanin, and you want to create a divide out of that, or to say that they've got a closer link to Neanderthal DNA, there's some sort of mixing in the past. If you want to go deeper to find a difference between white and black people, when you don't really have to, you could literally just say one's got more melanin than the other, then knock yourself out. But you're not achieving anything. Your hypothesis of white people are aliens isn't being serviced by this, because we've been here for at least 28,000 years, which is the youngest known Neanderthal remains. So what's your point?
White people were not on the face of the earth. They just arrived recently. Now in this section, I'm going to be speaking about the fact that the majority of Europeans have Rh negative blood, especially your celebrities, your politicians, and oligarchs.
How would you know the blood type of white celebrities, politicians, and oligarchs? Not only do we have doctors' ethics as a barrier to that, but if you could get past doctors' ethics, the information would be fragmented across hundreds and thousands of databases. And your point here, you're going to say the rhesus monkey DNA found in some human beings is basically found in more Africans than Europeans. But how did that get there?
You were fucking a chimp up the arse.
So your positive claim here is that the pure human genetics are defined by an ancestry that fucked rhesus monkeys. And the Europeans are not pure human because their ancestors fucked Neanderthals. Wouldn't it be far more helpful culturally as well as scientifically to say that the Europeans had Neanderthals to fuck and the Africans had rhesus monkeys to fuck, and we were both randy as hell?
Now let's talk about Vlad the Impaler.
Always an important aspect for species classification.
During his short reign of just 6 years, he managed to kill 1 in every 8 people of Transylvania for the very slightest infractions, such as a glance or a single word he didn't like, amassing a kill total of more than 100,000 in just 6 years. This breaks down to about 45 people every day, 7 days a week. Now his dungeons revealed a spawn of terrifying inventions of torture, but in the end of every sentence, the ultimate completion of his enemies' lives were always the same: by ramming a 5-foot diameter sharpened stake up through their ass and out of their chest, neck, or mouth.
I'll bet most of those poor saps were white, and they weren't very happy about it. We call him Vlad the Impaler because it is unusual to impale people as a hobby. The name marks him out as different. Vlad the Impaler is a small sample size. I can't believe your video requires me to point this out. It's not the norm. He's gonna say, oh, Jesus. You're gonna say he drinks blood. Oh, fuck it, just get on with it.
Now, besides personally enjoying the entire experience of someone's intensely brutal torture and death, Vlad also drank blood on a regular basis with meals. He also enjoyed very much dipping his bread in warm blood and eating it with his dinner, of which is widely known about the most bloodthirsty ruler of all time in Romanian history.
Therefore all white people are vampires from outer space. Brilliant.